So my name is Dr. Jenna Charlton. I am the Impact Lead for North East Wellbeing, and we have run the Demonstrating Value programme. I think sustainable change begins at ground level, and what the Demonstrating Value programme does is supports people and organisations to delve deeper into their ways of working, to broaden their understanding of value, to capture outcomes, learning and impact. So we work with individuals and small teams to think about new opportunities for measuring outcomes, new ways to measure value, to look at reflective learning and think about how we embed reflective practice into day-to-day practice. We think about what works well, what doesn't work so well, how can we change our approach to make what we do have greater value, not for just organisations, but for those that we work with, whether that be individuals, their families and their community. And the goal here is to get to a common vision of value that supports place-based systems change.
So I think by doing the Demonstrating Value project, it allowed us to take that time to reflect on what our project was about.
It's a really positive experience. It provided frameworks. It took me from a 2D approach to storytelling to a 3D approach. So that 3D approach, I was able then to look at the value of the story, not just from the participants' point of view or from YGT's point of view, but how that might affect the wider society, the wider community, the commissioners and so on.
It's made us think about value at different levels, whereas before we might have just thought about the impact that it has on an individual.
It's helped us assess our projects a little bit earlier. So I think there's that key question we now ask, which is, so what? And you keep delving further into what is the impact. I think we break things down much more and we question, so what, more regularly.
Before sort of going through the process, we kind of looked at value as maybe a static thing, whereas actually once we kind of started going through the process and looking at all the different parts to do with the Learning Bank, we realised that the value of it changed throughout the process.
So what we had the chance to do through the Demonstrating Value project was actually just take that time to reflect on what was going well, what potentially wasn't going well, and take that learning forward. We were able to look at the onion model in terms of those layers and really see where we're adding value through the project.
The tools that Developing Value gave us that set of tools where we could look at the things that we were doing, the work that we were doing against things like the 10 conditions of Sport England and how that worked. It also helped us to reflect on ourselves. But on that reflection, we found we were much bigger than the sum of our parts and that each part had different areas to play.
Going through the sort of the evidence audit, that really helped us sort of plot out who our audience was, who we were wanting to work with.
It's changed our way of working. We've thought a lot more about the feedback that we get. First of all, how important the feedback is, but also the questions that we ask need to be the right questions. So where has this person come from? What was their life like before? What have they done? And what's happened as a result of what they've done? So we can really look at the value. So they started here, they've done this, and because of what they've done, they're now here.
We did like a mapping exercise, like a roadmap, and some of them kind of new systems for us help us show our value differently to what we would just writing it on a report. So showing the value from the start of the project and how it basically moulds, I guess, as you go along in that roadmap exercise. So I think we've learned a lot from how we can present our value more. I think we typically get used to running with the project and then evaluating at the end. And I think demonstrating value from a groundwork North East point of view, it helps us to evaluate as we go, as opposed to just wait until the end, I guess.
It's encouraged us to kind of sometimes be a bit more reflective and take a step back. We do try and kind of practice what we preach around demonstrating value and just pick into what we do a little bit more.
Using the Demonstrating Value process, It's helped us reflect on the work that we've been doing. But because the Learning Bank is still in its infancy and, like I said, hasn't been rolled out to our partners yet, the demonstrating value process helped us learn from these issues and then try to come up with solutions.
I think having the demonstrating value work and looking at the value from the get-go of the project, we almost implement that legacy earlier on. So we look at the value not just kind of from one person's point of view, but from a whole. So thinking about the model that we used in the first workshop where it was like an onion and it was looking at the ripple effect of the different values. So from individuals to communities to further, I think we can then look at implementing that legacy using that model earlier in the project rather than wait until the end.
So by doing the demonstrating value process, it gave us that chance to actually ensure that it had the evidence to show that we were making a difference and that physical activity was being fully embedded within schools and as part of that whole system change. It gave us a chance then to see the difference we were making. We were able to capture videos that showed it from a child's perspective. In terms of legacy, we're looking at actually taking these case studies forward and the proof that it is working to other schools, to other local authorities and other areas, and actually saying that we've got the evidence there now to back up what we are saying in terms of the project and actually able to demonstrate the value to wider partners across the Tees Valley.
In terms of legacy, we're looking at people coming to these groups, engaging in a different way of life, being more physically active, but then for that not to end at the end of the 26 weeks or however long the programme lasts for, but for that to be really habit forming and for it to be a personal legacy for them. So it changes their life, so they become more physically active as a way of life. And we'll only know that through asking the correct questions.
I think because demonstrating value does allow the organisations to really dig into the whys, the whats, the hows, and the impact that small changes can make.
I think it's back to the frameworks, it's back to the tools, back to using other people's tools to say, actually, if we look at it this way, is that helpful? And indeed it was. It was extremely helpful and a very positive experience, as I said.